back. This is Jean from Potentia. I have been talking a lot about mindfulness these days, and in fact have devoted this whole month to putting out some videos and having discussions on how-tos and different kinds of mindfulness and meditation. And what I want and would like to balance that off with is some action steps of how actually mindfulness in practical life and in action can really be helpful for you as a skill to strengthen for yourself. So I figured that one of the first things that shows up a lot with my clients, coaching and counseling, are issues around self-doubt and self-confidence. It usually may come in as something else about achieving a goal or maybe a relationship problem or something like that. But many times it comes back to issues around self-confidence and doubt and what people believe is capable for them in their worlds. So I usually go into my story about the movie reel and what I believe to be true about what is happening with people in that issue. And how I like to explain it to my clients and how I believe it to be so is that, when we're born, we are born perfect beings. We're not born with self-doubt. We're not born with lacking self-confidence or any of those issues. When it comes time to learn to walk, we just crawl along, we get up, we fall, we get up, we fall, and nothing really stops us from doing it because we fell a few times. We just keep going. But what starts to happen, and this is a natural progression in life, and this isn't an implication on parenting or anything else for the most part, but we create a movie reel in our mind. And basically it's our operating system. It's how we went through the formative years of our life, and we had experiences, maybe not so positive, maybe some that were positive, but they all go together to kind of create this movie that we have and that creates our beliefs around the world and how and who we are in the world that we live in. So as we get older, we kind of keep accessing that old movie reel. And if we aren't mindful about seeing how that shows up in our life, then we keep operating from a default mode. So we have this basically old operating system as adults that we're dealing with. And I mean adults, even people who are, 17 and 18 years old, because quite honestly, if I can work with someone that age and help them understand at that point that everything they believe about their experience isn't necessarily true, but yet it's the meaning they make on it, then it's actually really helpful to have an impact as they move forward in the life, creating experiences that they want and paying attention to what's being triggered or what's coming up when they think about exploring dreams and trying to pursue things and achieving goals. So getting back to the self-doubt issue and how mindfulness can be really beneficial for that. As you increase a practice, very similar to if you wanted to make your body more in shape, you would go to the gym, and part of that regime might be lifting weights. So, you don't start out with a 50-pound dumbbell. You might start out with an 8 or 10-pound dumbbell, depending on your fitness level. But you work your way up. And it's the same thing with mindfulness. First you sit for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Once you start to strengthen that skill, you will start to see in your day-to-day life where some of these troublemaking thoughts come up. There's a book that's called Taming Your Gremlin that I read many years ago that was really helpful. And I'm sorry, I can't think of the author's name, but Taming Your Gremlin. And in coaching, they talk about your saboteur. I basically call it a troublemaker. And if you don't know the troublemaker's there, then this is where mindfulness can come in to be really handy. So I would recommend having a journal and maybe starting a journal in your process of paying attention to where your default mode thoughts are coming up. But pay attention to when you think about, if you were to, let's just say, write out a list of things that you wanted to achieve. if you go through each of those and just kind of spend time with one of them, like, oh, let's say I want to start a business. What's the self-talk that starts happening to you in that moment? Or you want your relationship to be a certain way. What are the things that start coming up for you in that? And I can guarantee that a lot of those thoughts are going to be thoughts that are latent from that old operating system kind of coming into play. And if you don't really ever take the time to kind of go into that, into the heart of that and expose it, then you're going to find yourself repeating the same behaviors and not really moving the dial forward too much in your life. So I just wanted to have that conversation about how mindfulness in action can be really beneficial off of the mat. And how if you start paying attention to those uncomfortable feelings, the troublemaker feelings, the things that stop you from kind of pursuing things that you want to do or moving forward or feeling positive or even feeling happy. It actually doesn't have to be necessarily an action step. It can be just, what's your state of mind all day long? What are the thoughts that are going on in your mind? And paying attention to those things. So grab your journal and start paying attention to your thoughts. Start giving yourself some things to think about, like, wow, what would I really like to do? And start paying attention to the thoughts that get in the way of maybe the list that starts coming up about why something won't be possible or why you possibly couldn't achieve that. And just start giving some thought to whose voice that is and where that voice came from. So I will leave you with that for now. Grab your journal and start paying attention to those nasty little troublemaker thoughts that are getting in your way. Okay? Hey everyone. Thanks for listening to my video on mindfulness in action. And I would love to hear from you in the comments below about how your own self-doubt and the little troublemaking thought in your mind gets in the way and your awareness of that. So please leave your comments and share below, and would love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.